Hello, beautiful. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Maelyn Etz. Maelyn is an affordable, mid-sized fashion content creator, a fellow lover of sunshine and the beach. And when I mentioned on Instagram that we were doing this episode together, I had multiple people reach out to me and tell me how amazing of a human you are. So happy you're here. So excited for our episode and discussion today on fashion and body image. And so without further ado, welcome Maelyn to your Body Is Not the Problem podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So, to start, can you tell us a bit more about you, please, and your body image journey?
Yes, so my name is Maylin. I am married. I have two dogs. I am so passionate about fashion. I absolutely love it as a way to express yourself and kind of show the world like what aesthetic you love. And my body image journey has been a long one. I would say like the healing part of my journey has been the last about 4 years. But I would say since I was a little kid, I've had some troubles with body image. So over the last 4 years is really when I've done most of my growing.
Well, it's never too late to start, so I'm happy to hear it. Have you always been into fashion then?
I have been, yes. Ever since I was a little kid, I'd always look at all of the posters or like the mannequins in the stores and really just love what they had on and love all the different styles. And then when I was a little bit older, when I had some little bit of money from high school jobs, me and my little sister would go on shopping dates, which was so much fun. So I've always loved it.
I love that. I am very excited for today's episode because I am like the complete opposite of like understanding fashion and being into fashion. But I also find it interesting because whenever I do an episode about clothing, I get the urge to want to clean out my closet and restart. So I feel like this episode and just chatting with you is going to help so much. But before we officially dive in, can you just clarify what is considered mid-size?
So I would say mid-size fashion is basically if you feel that your body type is not represented or you don't really identify with either mainstream models or plus size models, you probably fit into the mid-size range.
Okay, that makes sense. So we actually connected over the scale in the DMs. And so I'm super curious to hear what you found would happen when you would step on the scale and then go to get dressed. And would it impact how you decided like what you were and weren't allowed to wear? And how would you feel wearing the clothes after stepping on the scale?
Yes, it definitely did impact me a lot. I think as soon as I was kind of coming to the age where I would really recognize people talking about their weight and how that impacted their day, I kind of started to think, well, what if my weight impacts my value as a person? So at that point, I started to weigh myself more and kind of come up with this super arbitrary, unhealthy number that I thought was my goal. And so it got to the point where I was weighing myself every single day, at least once a day, if not multiple times. And if I was not at that very unhealthy goal weight, I would restrict what I was eating, what I was drinking. And then I might not put on the clothes that I felt most beautiful in, even if that's what I had kind of picked out for that day, because I kind of felt like I wasn't worthy to look pretty, basically, which is so sad to think about little me doing that. But I would pick out clothes that maybe I just didn't feel as pretty in, or clothes that were a little bit looser, and just not feel like I was worthy to look pretty that day.
It's so interesting because I've spoken to multiple ladies who I've helped them slowly move away from the scale also. And some of the first messages that I get from them are, oh my gosh, like I didn't step on the scale today and I let myself wear this sports bra to work out, or I let myself wear this top that I wouldn't have let myself wear if I had stepped on the scale first. And also, I used to step on that scale multiple times a day, and it's really difficult because I feel like when you're
Mhm,
also in that mindset, you probably also have clothes in your closet that just don't fit you. You're using them as quote unquote motivation. And
mhm.
it's difficult to get past the, oh, this is what I weigh, this is what I'm not allowed to wear, and this is what I am allowed to wear. So, my question for you is what really changed for you then when you shifted away from the scale, and then how that impacted what you did allow yourself to wear and how you felt in it?
I think I started doing this when I was in high school, and if we would go on like a vacation or a trip or visit people, they might not have a scale, and so some days I did go without weighing myself, and I'd have really severe anxiety about it and think like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I'm worthy to wear this outfit because I don't know what I weigh." So, I started recognizing once I was a little bit older and out of college, started recognizing like, oh, I'm having really negative thoughts about myself and my body image. So I realized that that was not going to be healthy in the long run. So I started getting some therapy, which was so, so helpful, and started recognizing like what I can do to change my overall like negative views towards myself. And then that really helped me break down why I was having those thoughts, and then that in turn helped me break down why I was thinking that my worth as a person was tied to what size I was or what number on the scale I was.
That's awesome because I feel like so many of us, we think we have to do this alone and we don't fully realize, like we know, but we don't fully realize that we're not the only one going through it. So I think it's really amazing that you sought help because you don't have to do this alone. But
Mm.
as a side note question, do you have any tips for removing the scale from your life? Like,
Um, my scale batteries broke, so I guess I had like used it to the point of like the batteries breaking. I was like, well, I was kind of thinking I should get rid of it anyway. So I just like never replaced the batteries, but just like left the scale in the bathroom for months. It was just like sitting there and I was looking at it and it was looking at me. So I never replaced the batteries, and then I like pushed it in the closet so far back, and actually I came across it a couple years ago, was like, "Oh my god, let's just throw that away." Like we should have a whole entire like funeral for that thing. So
amazing. And I mean, it's a perfect opportunity of if it breaks for some reason, if it needs new batteries, take it as a sign. It's
yes.
supposed to go. Amazing. So, a question I do get a lot is how to know when something or how to make something more flattering on your body, which I find a very interesting topic because when I hear flattering, I hear I'm doing it for the external validation, even
Mhm.
if I don't want to wear it, even if I don't like what it looks like. And so, my first question for you is what do you consider to be flattering? Like, what would you describe that as?
So I feel like that word, kind of like you said, it does have a lot of like negative connotations to it. So I think when a lot of people talk about flattering, they're kind of talking about like what like society's gaze or the male gaze or the female gaze, whatever you're trying to dress for, what they think is beautiful, regardless of what you do. So for me, like the way that I like to reframe that in my mind is like, what do I find very aesthetic or what do I find that I feel prettiest in? And so really like diving into that and looking up like what aesthetic you really love and then kind of like matching that to like what outfits you feel amazing in and figuring out like what adjectives describe that so that you can kind of redo that in your whole closet.
That's so good because when you wear something and you actually like it and you feel good in it, it that confidence and everything radiates onto everyone else. And like, if you feel good, other people will think you look good because you feel good.
Yes, like that's like how Rihanna pulls off everything. Like it's ugly until Rihanna wears it, and it's like it's because like first off she's gorgeous, but like she's so confident, and everyone's just like, oh, of course it looks good.
Yeah, but we then say, "Oh, of course it looks good. It's Rihanna. It's her body. It's her whatever it may be." It's like, no, it's just Rihanna being confident and wearing whatever the heck she
Right?
wants.
Yes.
Because yeah, the we've all been conditioned to wear certain things or not wear certain things because of how other people are looking at us. Like I always think back to high school and it's like not allowed to show your shoulders, not allowed to show
Mhm.
your stomach. It's like when did we make stomachs and shoulders inappropriate?
Right.
And that then also impacts us of like you may think that for it to be more flattering, you should show more skin. It's like
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
necessarily what you actually have to do, and it's just like, let's just wear what we actually wanna wear and feel good in.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah. That's such a hard thing too because like a lot of fashion, like depending on like the time period when you kind of got into fashion, sometimes the trendy fashion is actually really uncomfortable and sometimes it's not. So I think trying to like pick out the pieces of fashion that like you feel like look very aesthetic, but also feel good to wear is kind of hard to find that balance.
Yeah, I try really, really hard that everything that I wear is super comfortable. But I was
Mhm.
thinking about when I was thinking about clothing being flattering and even just like trends, I guess, because I feel like that kind of goes with flattering, was I think it was I don't feel like it was this year. I think it was last year when like the bootleg jeans and the flare jeans all started
Mhm.
becoming popular again. And I got used to liking skinny jeans. It's like do I have to change the types of jeans I'm wearing just because all of a sudden society is saying, "Hey, these are so much more flattering." It's like,
Yeah, that
no,
is really hard because I think like a lot of people, because like low rise jeans are kind of coming back. And so which
that's
I'm
not
saying that to you
comfortable.
too. So, like, for me, I think I would always try, regardless of, like, if all of the stores completely go that way, which we really hope that it does not, but if they do, I think I would always try and look for jeans that are not super low rise because, like, I just don't feel good wearing them, but whereas, like, when I was a kid, I was like, "I don't wanna wear high-rise jeans, like, what are you talking about?" So I think it's good to know that like your aesthetic can change, but I think really listening to your body in the moment and saying like, does this feel good? And if not, then it's like, oh, you can find a different kind of fashion. There's so much out there.
Exactly. Love that so much. Another thing that I've noticed is that when it comes to fall and winter styles, I find that it can be really easy to hide your body and then call it fashion or style. And so
Mhm.
I'm wondering if you have any tips for someone who does enjoy wearing layers, but how can they do it in a way that's not actually hiding their body?
Yeah, I love this one so much because I love layers so much. They're so cute and there's so much you can do with it. And so what I really like to do for me personally, I find like crop tops very, very aesthetic. I love them so much. Or even just like tighter fitting tops, whether it's like high neck or like mock neck tops. I really love those. And those are awesome for layering with. So you can have either like leggings and a crop top or leggings and like just like a tighter kind of like ribbed long sleeve top, and you can put a flannel over it, like an oversized flannel, so it still looks like really, really cozy and really comfy, and it feels very good. But you're not like hiding your body. So I think it's really good whether you're wearing like fitted jeans or leggings or whatever it is that you're wearing, that you can still see your body and your body shape and still give yourself love while seeing your body shape so that it's not a huge shock when you stop wearing those things.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think about that it can be really difficult when you go from fall and winter, and you may have been wearing long sleeves and lots of layers for 6, 7 months.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you're supposed to be wearing or could and can be wearing tank tops and things like that. And it's like, that's quite a shock to the system sometimes,
Yes.
mentally and physically.
Mhm. Yeah, I think changing seasons also is very, very hard if you're in the process or in the time period of changing your body size, because going back into your closet and either pulling out from storage or just, you have not worn sweaters all summer probably. So whenever you try on those jeans and sweaters and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm a different size. Like I don't fit into these. They're too big, they're too small." That can be a huge like moment of like existential crisis basically. So so that can be really, really hard whenever those seasons change.
Do you have any advice on how to rebuild your wardrobe in those situations where like your body size is changing, um,
Mhm.
whether it's a new season or not?
Yeah, so I absolutely love rebuilding wardrobes because I've gotten very good at it because I've changed sizes so many times. So I really, really love starting with the basics and kind of seeing what your fashion is. Of course, you choose your fashion first and what aesthetic you really love and what clothes you feel comfortable in, and then figuring out what size you are, of course, which can be very difficult to do. Um, So once you figure all of that out, then going from the basics, and you can either find it online. A lot of people have it. I've made a guide. I know a lot of other people have made a guide as well, for capsule wardrobes. And they have like all of the basics that you'll need, and then you how to put them together in lots of different combos. That way, you're not spending so much money buying every single piece again. You're just buying the basics that you'll need to be able to combine them multiple different ways. So I think that's really helpful.
For sure. And I will link your two guides in the show notes. So if you're listening right now, you can just scroll down and click right on the link to get those because I believe they're both under $20, which is amazing. Backtracking to the layering question though, do you have any tips for those who don't like to layer clothes and how to style them still? Because I personally, I hate layers.
Yes, yeah. So some people love it, some people hate it. To each their own, and it's definitely like whatever aesthetic you choose. So I think if you're not into layering, what I would suggest is either the top or the bottom be more fitted for you. So if you're wearing like trousers, like wide leg trousers, I might opt for a more fitted top. So if you have like one of my favorite outfits right now is I have a long sleeve mock neck ribbed top, and it's very fitted. It's so cute. And then I pair that with my wide leg trousers and then some sneakers. And it's so cute. It feels very comfortable. Or if you were to do it the other way around, if you have like a really cute, chunky, oversized sweater or a flannel, and you compare that with more fitted jeans or with leggings, and that really helps kind of balance things out.
That makes fashion and styling seem way less scary to me because like, one of the reasons why I love living in Florida is because I don't need layers. And I
Mhm.
mean, maybe I don't like layers because I lived in Canada for so long. I had to have so many to not get frostbite. But yeah, no, it sounds way more attainable and doable when you just say it like that. It's like, okay, I can handle that. Be a little more stylish by doing that. Cool.
Yes, yeah, I like combining either the tops or the bottoms are more fitted, and it just like makes the whole outfit so aesthetic just very quickly.
Amazing. So, do you have any tips for someone who is going shopping in a store who is mid-size and the store sells their size, but it primarily caters to those in a smaller body? How to feel more worthy of being in that store, how to feel more confident shopping for your size in a store that promotes it primarily for smaller bodies.
Yeah, so one thing I used to do a lot of trial and error on this. So I did it wrong a lot of times before I started doing it in a way that feels good to me. So one thing that you can do if you're feeling very insecure is maybe wait until another day, or you can bring along a support person like your friend or your partner, somebody that will be able to like go get Starbucks afterwards with you if you did have a very unsuccessful trip. Something that can kind of lift your spirits back up if you do start to feel not so great during your shopping experience. You can also look online and see if they have your size in stock if you know your size, so that you don't go to the store and see so many cute things and see that they have nothing in your size, that they're all sold out. So that is one thing you can do to make sure. Another thing you can do is online shopping. I do love online shopping once you do know your size, or even if you don't know your size yet. It's going to be a little more time consuming because you'll probably have to make a lot of trips to the post office to return things. But it can be really helpful doing it in the comfort of your own home. And if you start to feel very triggered or pretty upset during the process, you can just opt out and you're not leaving a messy dressing room for anyone else. It's for yourself for later. So I found that that's really helpful as well.
I think it's such a great tip for go shopping on a different day. If you're not feeling like you want to go shopping, like you're in the right mood to go shopping, because I feel like
Mhm.
you definitely have to be in the right mood. It's like
Absolutely.
choose another day, or if you're already at the mall, the one thing that's really helped me is just be okay with leaving without anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Go in with a plan, but be flexible that you might leave without it. And that can be sad. It can be frustrating, but take that little bit of sadness and that frustration over beating yourself up and being mean to yourself. So I love the just go a different day. That's really good. And the online shopping can be dangerous because I mean,
Yes.
it's so easy to add things to your cart, but it's also very helpful.
Yeah, I have found for me it's helpful to online shop because typically I'll have either like an event or an idea in mind of the outfit that I want to create, or I'll think like, oh my goodness, I wore out these sneakers. I love them so much. I need to find a replacement. And if I online shop, you have the world at your fingertips, which is dangerous, but also amazing because then you can find exactly what you want in your size somewhere online and then just have it shipped to you versus like going to the store, feeling upset that they don't have yours in your size, and then maybe leaving with something you don't actually love. So I kind of ended up spending more money doing in person shopping than online because I would buy a few things that I didn't love versus like one thing that I did.
That is a very fair point. That is very true. I mean, there's definitely so many times because again, when I didn't have the rule of like just be okay to leave, I would be like, well, this will have to do. And then I never wore it. And it's
Right.
like,
Yes, and then there's all of the guilt every single time you look in your closet and you're like, "Oh my god, I just bought that and oh, I didn't use it."
yeah, so much guilt. And that's not making getting dressed every morning a fun thing to do.
No.
So, random fun fact for you is that I don't normally follow fashion accounts. And it's primarily because one, I never considered myself to be like into fashion, but
Mhm.
also because I found that so many of them share their weight and their measurements. And so I went through every single one of your posts, and you don't share your weight or your measurements. You just share your height and your size in your bio. And I'm wondering, is that on purpose? And what are your thoughts on other fashion accounts sharing their weight and their stats just in every post?
Yeah, so that is definitely on purpose. I actually very recently added my height and my size very, very recently because before that I was still feeling like, oh, I don't know if I want to add that, but decided to. So I would say for me, I have not actually measured myself in about 4 years because that would be very triggering to me, I feel like. But I think also it can be to other people because then they might not have measured themselves either, but they might think, well, I kind of want to compare to her and see if we are the same size, if I'm bigger or smaller than her. So I think that that can be really hard seeing those numbers. I think also I change sizes a lot. So so I think for me, if I were to share my weight or my measurements, I know a lot of people can feel kind of like betrayed whenever either their friend that they were the same size as or a creator that they liked either gains or loses weight. They can feel kind of like left behind and like, oh my goodness, I thought we were the same size, but we're not anymore. So I don't really share those just because I do change sizes fairly frequently, kind of go up and down, up and down. So learning to go with the flow has been really helpful. But yeah, I think the creators that do share their measurements, they're doing it as a way to connect with their audience. And so I don't think that any of them would ever do it in like with bad intentions. But I think sometimes whenever you are a person who's struggled with that before, it can be kind of off putting when all of a sudden there's like numbers in your face. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, I didn't really want to see that today.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I wasn't following fashion accounts for the same reason why I stopped following all of the very diety accounts that were sharing their weight from a scale. And so
Yes.
it's like, even if you haven't weighed yourself in a while, your brain might still have that last number that you remember seeing on the
Mhm.
scale. You might still have those numbers that you remember measuring around your body, and then you're still comparing. And it's like, that's not fun. Comparison is
No.
the thing with good body image.
Yes.
But I was very, very excited to see that you only share your height and your size. And to me, at least for myself, that wasn't triggering at all. And I was saying this to Graham that to me, I feel like the only thing that I really want to know from someone is like, is it true to size? But even then, we're going to enjoy different tightnesses of like jeans
Yes.
and so it's like, even if you were to tell me your size, your weight, your measurements, your height, your everything, we're still probably going to be different sizes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is something that's really, really hard whenever you're following someone and they recommend something and you're like, oh my God, I think we're about the same size. And then you get it and you're like, oh wow, like they apparently like this different than I do, or we aren't the same size. It's definitely pretty disheartening and can be really discouraging. So I think that can be a really hard thing.
Definitely. And I want to backtrack because I was just thinking about it. You say that you love crop tops, correct? Have you always loved crop tops?
So I've always loved how they looked, but I grew up in a very controlled environment, I would say. So I was not allowed to wear those, but I started wearing them and I felt like really, really good in them. And I felt really like it added this like fun aesthetic element to my outfit. And whenever I did start changing sizes, I was like, oh my gosh, am I still going to be able to wear them? But I think it was really encouraging for me to see other people still wearing them no matter their size. I was like, oh my God, I can do that too. And so it felt really empowering to be able to do that, and I still love how they look so much.
That's awesome. And yeah, so it was the thing that kind of helped you then was seeing other people. It's like,
Mhm.
well, if they can wear it, why can't I? That's amazing.
Right.
One thing that I was doing when I was trying to wear crop tops, it, I guess it was back in 2020 actually, was whenever I would like drive around and like see someone else wearing them, I would like give them a compliment either out loud or in my head and like
Nice.
remind myself of like they're worthy of that. And it's like slowly giving other people permission gave myself permission. So I think it's really cool that you were just like, oh, they're giving me permission to wear what I want, even though you don't need the permission. But
Right. It still feels nice to have that validation, definitely. Or even to see people like it's becoming a lot more common to post things unposed or to post things like from the side, even if like whatever shape you are, whatever size you are, to post things from your quote unquote like non-aesthetic angles. So I think that's really helpful to be able to see that, or even to see people in person or your friends wearing these things and be like, oh, they look like that when they sit down. I do too. That's so nice to see that. So I think that's been really helpful too, having less photoshopped things in your face all the time and having more real bodies in your Instagram feed has been really helpful.
so true. Such a good point. So, something I saw that you share on your Instagram, which I love, is the spend or save reel
Mhm.
that you make. Would you mind diving into what goes on for you to decide whether or not you spend and like get something brand new, is how I took it, versus like saving going to a thrift store?
Yeah, so for me, what I kind of decide is I look at a piece of clothing, how much am I going to wear it, and how much will it affect my life if it is not perfectly comfortable. So whenever I look at that, shoes for me are a must to have them be comfortable. So whenever I was wearing really low quality shoes, they really affected my life. Like I didn't really want to go out and do things. I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to walk around. Let's not do that. And so it was really affecting my life and how much I could do with my friends, with my husband, with my dog. So I was like, oh, well, that's kind of crazy to be only looking for like quantity over quality with shoes for that because it is affecting my life. So I think with those, to me, that is very important to whatever your budget is, to allot more of your budget to those kinds of things. Whereas other things like linen sets, like cotton blend linen sets, they do not have to be 100% linen and they do not have to be that expensive. And then also looking at if you do change sizes again, what kind of things are not going to go with you to the next size? So for me, linen sets are not, they don't range over multiple sizes. They can range maybe like in between a size or two, but they're not going to span three sizes. So those kinds of things you might just opt for a less expensive version of. So Amazon has a lot of amazing things. I think the Amazon driver probably, if they don't come by my house every day, they're probably like, oh, is she okay? So I love getting stuff from Amazon, and all the Amazon dupes and everything have been coming out. So I think just like looking at and really evaluating what kind of value you put on different items and what could follow you to a different size.
I think that's a great tip also when it comes to like your body size changing of like, is what you're buying actually able to grow or shrink with you?
Mhm.
And if it can, maybe that's worth investing in. And if it can't, like you said, it's like, I probably don't need it then because you want to be able to give your body the grace to do what it wants to do
Yes.
and not hurt your wallet too much and
Yeah.
feel like you have to then force your body to stay in a specific size or shape because, well, you spent $200 on an outfit.
Right. Yes, I've definitely made that mistake a lot of times because whenever I first started changing sizes, I was like, "Oh my gosh, well, this is probably my final size," which is so naive to think. But I did think that, and so I was like, "Oh, well, I'll just, like, redo my whole wardrobe and get things that I put a lot of value on." And then I changed sizes again, I was like, "Oh my god, this is awful." So I stopped making that mistake, and it's been really helpful because then you can give yourself the grace to change sizes without also having the guilt of your budget.
Mhm. Yeah, the most recently when I went up another size, I just bought 1 pair of jean shorts. That
Awesome.
that was pretty much it because I was like it was the 2nd time that I've gone up a size, and I'm like, I technically went up 2 sizes to make them even more comfortable, but
Yes, I love it. I love how there's so many options in fashion for having slightly oversized or very much fitted. Like there's a lot of different options, which is so nice because you can kind of pick whichever one you feel best in.
mhm, and it's like, that's what we should be doing is picking what we feel best in and not trying to make society happy because we can't.
Right?
So, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I am honestly already excited to go back and listen to our episode. And definitely going to be looking at like what staples I have and like figuring out how I can style like the tighter top or like tighter bottoms with like the looser top and the looser bottoms. So I'm very excited. Thank you. Um,
Yes, absolutely.
to finish off, I have 2 questions that I ask all of my guests, and so the first one is, what do you wish you could go back and tell younger Maelyn?
I would tell her a lot of things, but I think one of the main things that I would say is yes, keep loving fashion, keep being so passionate about it because that's such a fun, creative, artistic way to kind of like have the aesthetic you want and be able to show your friends and show the world kind of like your favorite colors that you love wearing or what you find really beautiful and just know that your aesthetic is going to change, your body's going to change, and fashion is going to change, and that's so awesome because you get to evolve as a person and find new styles that you never knew you would have loved. So just keep going and loving fashion.
I love that, and keep doing it, please, because people like me, we need you. The second question is, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out to try and love their body more?
I think, it's really hard whenever you have, like, really extremely negative views about yourself as a whole and about your body to go from that to hearing people say, like, "Oh, well, you should just love yourself," and it's like, you can't jump over that chasm, like, there's such a huge journey to make, so I think noticing the little baby steps, like, "Oh, I only body checked a couple times today, whereas used to I body checked 5 times, 10 times, whatever it might be, and noticing those little baby steps and being able to celebrate that, and then getting to the point of less negative thoughts, and then maybe you're neutral with your body, and then you like your body, and then you love your body. So I think knowing that there are steps to get there would have been really helpful.
That is very, very good advice. I love that. Amazing. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more of what Maelyn offers, her Instagram will also be linked in the show notes. And again, I will be linking the 2 guides that she has in the show notes. And she also has a weekly email with her top 5 fashion picks of the week. And I'm just so grateful for your time and everything you shared because it's honestly, truly so helpful for myself. And I know it's going to be so helpful for so many others. But yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, thank you. This has been awesome.
All right. Well, I hope you have an amazing day and your body is not the problem.